Yes, hello, this is Dan Fogler, introducing FilmSnobbery. You should watch Malarkey on Adam.com. Stupid. What? Should I do another one?
Sure, yeah, just tell our full entire audience stupid.
Oh no, I was just trying to... No. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
You call me stupid.
FilmSnobbery, Dan Fogler, watch Malarkey on Adam TV. Wait, no, it's Adam.com. Bill Cosby. Dan Fogler, Snobbery TV, Malarkey, Adam.com. What else do you need? That was pretty good. That was a good one.
Nice.
Fist of Fury! Fist of Fury!
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to FilmSnobbery Live. I am your host, the Film Snob Nic Baisley, and joining me, as always, is co-host, director Jerry Cavallaro. I want to kind of just briefly tell you guys what we got in store for you tonight. We've got a great show for you. We've got an old friend of the show, producer extraordinaire John Paul Rice is joining us, and for the first time on FilmSnobbery, the elusive, the mastermind director behind all of your favorite films, such as 1 Hour Fantasy Girl and the upcoming Mother's Red Dress, independent director, Edgar Michael Bravo. It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited to have him on here, finally dispel the rumors that he actually doesn't exist. He does. I know. I've talked to him. It's going to be a great show. We're going to talk about our Indiegogo project of the week, which you'll have to stay tuned for to find out what it is, because we like to keep it top secret here. And then we also, we're going to talk a little bit later about a little more about the Tribeca Film Festival with co-host, director Jerry Cavallaro, and he's going to tell us about his experiences and some of the things that are going on over there. And I hear he's got some juicy stuff for us too, so I'm really excited to talk to him about that. But why kind of belabor everything? Let's get right into the show tonight. I'm going to start by showing you guys the trailer for Mother's Red Dress, the upcoming film by Edgar Michael Bravo and producer John Paul Rice, No Restrictions Entertainment. And when we come back, we'll talk to the men themselves about how they actually put this together and kind of some of the behind-the-scenes stuff of how they get these films made, as well as we're going to talk a little bit about their Kickstarter project. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Ashley.
Men can be so kind one minute, so cruel the next. I've never met a man who wasn't that way. Things have never worked out for me. No matter what I did, maybe they'll work out for you.
Ashley's ready for me.
You don't even know her.
Blake, I need you here. Are you coming home?
All right, everyone, we're back, and I'm happy to introduce to you the two people who made that trailer possible, the producer John Paul Rice and director Edgar Michael Bravo. Welcome them to the show. Hello, sirs. How are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Pretty good.
We're doing pretty good, huh? All right, guys. So I guess my first question is for Edgar. And Edgar, I want to just ask you exactly, we notice a lot of the movies that you make, 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, Mother's Red Dress, stuff like that, seem to have a real personal tone to them. They all seem to come from someplace for you that is, personal, really comes through. Where do you kind of get the ideas for these movies, and what makes them so compelling, such compelling stories for you to tell?
Well, I look for people that I know or people that I interview that are in certain situations, and I try to find a storyline that is, first of all, means something to me, and then I think it has an archetype that can mean something to a lot of people. And in 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, it was all about how do you survive? How do you survive when you come from a really broken family and you're in a city where no one cares except what you can give them. And in this particular movie, it was I found interviewing the runaways that there was a common thread that the ones that survived had somebody that gave them a little bit, nothing big, just something kind, just a little tiny kind thing, and it would get them through the night. And some of them, didn't survive, but some of them at least survived for one day. And that, to me, that's an archetype. When you really look at it, we're in an illusion, and God only knows if we're going to wake up tomorrow alive or with a stroke or a hemorrhage. Who knows? So really, it's a day-by-day thing. So to me, what was important in the archetype is that we may forget about it, but anything can happen, and each day we make it, there's a reason why we make it. And people like this that have been so hurt, they usually survive because someone did something, anything, that helped them get through the next day.
Well, it seems like there's definitely someone in your group there that's helping you get from day to day, and that person is sitting next to you. He's your producer, Mr. John Paul Rice. And John, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit of the story of how you guys met. I mean, is this the typical Craigslist hookup, or was this was this kind of a preordained type of thing, or what's the story? How did you guys get together?
My background, I started as an actor in Atlanta, and there was a posting on Creative Loafing, which is equivalent to any local magazine in print in the city, and I saw an audition for a male lead, young 20s, and I went in. It turned out that I knew the production coordinator who was coordinating with the casting, and Edgar Michael Bravo was the director. And went in and I auditioned for him. He felt that I was very talented, and we kept in contact after that. Me being from Atlanta, not knowing when I would go out to L.A., but him being a director from Los Angeles, you don't have that happen every day. And we hit it off pretty well in terms of our ideas about things that we were interested in terms of our careers. And it really wasn't until I came out here to L.A. and worked with him that I knew that I had the beginnings of a solid partnership.
And I guess, Edgar, I'll ask you, and John, I'm going to ask you kind of the same question as well, but I'll have Edgar kind of fill in first. How did you get the directing bug? I mean, at what point did you say, I want to direct movies, and how did you get into it? How did you know also that it was something you were going to be good at? Because if anyone has seen, obviously, the trailer we just watched for Mother's Red Dress, as well as if anyone's seen 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, you're a very good director. How did you kind of come about this?
Well, when I was an undergrad, I got interested in theater, so I was very strong in theater, writing theater and directing plays. I went to UC Santa Cruz, and they had a part-time film program in there, so I got into that. And once I did my first film, I got the bug. I really loved what you were able to do visually and emotionally. Mm-hmm. And so when I graduated from there, I got accepted to UCLA to the master's program, and very much got into that and just continued, making some films. I won national awards and all that from some of the stuff I did at UCLA. And so it got me, gave me confidence. I just really fell in love with it. And that's what did it. And so, I stayed in LA and I started doing some professional work, some television shows, and also some, $1 million, $2 million indie features. And then when I met John, here in LA, everybody knows it takes, from the moment you want to start a movie, sometimes 2, 3, 4 years. And so John and I said, you know what, we have so many stories we want to do. We want to do them ourselves, make them small budget, but high quality and something that we're passionate about. So we decided to do that, and we said we're going to try to do one every year, and so far that's what we're doing, one every year of what we really feel strongly about, and hoping that other people feel the same.
And how about you, John? I mean, at what point, I mean, you were an actor, did it, does producing just pay better, or is this something that you thought, or do you just really like paperwork? Like, what's your situation?
Well, I think to be quite honest, getting into 6 months of living in LA, I needed a job, and I found a job opening at Senator International as a script reader and answering phones. And I started to see a little bit more about how the process of a story comes in and gets developed and made into a feature film. I mean, Senator was a film finance and sales company. Mm-hmm. It was led by Joe Drake, who I didn't know anything about at the time. And he ended up becoming somewhat of a mentor to me because about 6 to 8 months into it, Edgar, he and I had already worked on a short film together, and he had other scripts, and I thought, I literally went to AFM that year and pitched it to other buyers. And we got some good reactions, made some contacts, as many people do. But it gave me confidence as people were starting to read the scripts and respond and be moved by them, that there was an opportunity here where my strengths were in making deals and negotiating, but also finding talent, actors, writers, knowing what a good script is, and also seeing the opportunity that if I wanted to pursue my acting at a later time, I'd actually have a better opportunity to be in something that I really want to be in, as opposed to, auditioning every day and having to have a, quote, a flexible job that would allow me time off to do that. So it was a combination. I mean, what forced me to do was a combination of economic factors, but also realizing my strengths that could potentially put me on a career path that I have some kind of say in.
I'll say that was spoken like a true producer. Like, that was so logical that I don't think a Vulcan, I don't think Spock himself could find an issue with that description and that explanation. No, I think that's I think that's a very smart way to kind of go about it. I mean, you can still be within the industry without and get your name and your face out there, even as an actor, without necessarily having to audition at that point, because you become a known quantity in other areas. And I think that's smart on many levels. Plus, I think it gives you a better idea of what goes on the other side as an actor, producer, director, whoever your role is. When you step into another role, it just gives you more experience overall in the production. So, I'll ask Edgar, from a technical perspective, this is a conversation that I had with some of our audience not too long ago. From a technical perspective, do you get involved a lot in knowing things like, obviously knowing your way around the cameras that you're using, the lenses? Do you know exactly how you want to get these shots set up, how you want them lit? Or are you pretty much a person who kind of delegates to, to the grip and electrics, or to your DP, or to whoever, to make sure that your look and feel of your film is what is in your head? Or are you someone who knows what you want, so you can actually pick out the lenses that you want, and things like that? I mean, where do you kind of stand on? I mean, I know it's a little bit different too as an indie director. Most of the time we have to know these things, but how about yourself? I mean, how I guess technically adept are you behind the camera?
Well, when I was doing the bigger films and television stuff, I depended a lot on the DP. But when you're doing indie films, you maybe shoot 16 days. And so I know pretty well how to frame according to the time that we have, because time goes so fast when you're under such a crunch. Mm-hmm. So I do know, like, the basics of what the camera will do, the basics of the lenses. but more importantly, I know how to frame everything so that it all cuts together, because I've also done professional editing. So that helps a lot, because you have to really know that to do a film, that looks really, really like it's $1 million, but it's not.
Right.
If you know framing and you know what the lenses will do, and somewhat what the lighting will do also.
And I noticed that, also in 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, and even in the trailer of Mother's Red Dress, I mean, lighting and specific, camera technique, angles, stuff like that, definitely means something in what you do. And it's very obvious that a lot of the decisions that you make and we're seen in front of the camera are conscious decisions, at least from my perspective. Maybe I'm just reading into it too much. But I know that you guys are here to definitely talk a little bit about Mother's Red Dress, and I definitely want to talk to you about that as well, because you guys have had a very successful campaign that you're running right now on Kickstarter so far about Mother's Red Dress to raise some funds and awareness about your movie. Also, you guys have done a very good job in securing excellent music and securing, for your trailers and securing wonderful actors to play in this movie. Tell me a little bit about Mother's Red Dress and kind of where you are with it now and where it's going and where you hope it to be.
Okay, well, we're about a month away from locking fixture, and then once we raise the finishing funds, we should be done the end of the summer, and we'll be going into festivals like Telluride, hoping that there's a response there, and Toronto, and then from there we'll go to the different festivals also and begin to spread the word. John's really good, very good at social media to get the word out to the first level of people that may be interested in this particular story. And then we'll go, hopefully, there's an archetype in Mother's Red Dress that will appeal to a wider audience. Because, the stories about childhood abuse and mental illness, and at first that seems very, very limited, but there's a lot in there that a lot of people can relate to, who've had kind of like troubled backgrounds kind of thing.
No, absolutely. And I mean, there's a lot of people who have made films about mental illness. There was one specifically that Joe Pantoliano made about his own mental illness. I think it was bipolar. I could be wrong, but basically the idea of it was that he wanted to take the stigma off of mental illness and get people talking about it again. And I think movies that bring awareness to that obviously help. And you guys have been able to do something else that's fairly unique. And I know, well, it's unique in as much as not everyone's doing it. I've seen it crop up more and more, but you guys were kind of on the forefront of what I'd seen more people doing recently, which is getting charities involved in what you guys are doing. And I know that you guys reached out to a couple of, at least one charity, maybe a couple, to kind of work with you guys to spread awareness of your movie and their cause. You want to talk a little bit about that? John, maybe?
Yeah, it's a process, but it's coming a lot faster now because of what we did with 1 Hour Fantasy Girl. Mm-hmm. And being totally open here, I mean, part of it was we knew what we had as a film, and we knew what the audience reaction was to it, and primarily a lot of women were very receptive to the film, although the subject matter and the title sort of shy people away or made them look very cautious in looking at it. Mm-hmm. But what we found is that the audience was in the people who understood what this world is like every single day. They're the people, the professionals that deal with it, and the people that have the heart for those who are suffering or who have been themselves in that similar position. So it made sense, not just from a charity standpoint, but also a marketing standpoint, to look at things of where your audience is in the story. And it crosses all sorts of causes. I mean, this girl's a runaway, of course. In our case, last summer, we dealt with the Downtown Women's Center here in Los Angeles, where we did a screening and we split the box office with them. But more importantly, it was those women that they helped living on Skid Row. Many of them have been in similar situations, not necessarily the profession, but being betrayed and taken from and lied to and taken advantage of, or feeling in a very compromised situation. Mm-hmm. the problem and the challenge that filmmakers face today in pairing up with a charity is because of the budget cuts and some of the scaling back from helping poor and disadvantaged people, that they're having to tighten their purses a little bit more and try to raise money on their own. They really can't partner up or spend a lot of time and money. So what I would recommend, if there's any filmmaker looking to do this, is to look at the advocates and look at the blogs and the people that are speaking out about these issues, as opposed to trying to run right over to a charity or an organization to get them on board.
Okay, and Edgar, obviously you have John handling a lot of the media stuff and the outreach kind of stuff. Is that because it's just kind of his forte? I mean, are you kind of more, what are you kind of dealing with generally? I mean, once the movie is made, or are you kind of working more on editing? Or are you working more on the packaging of the movie versus the actual direct outreach? Or what's kind of your role once, while John's out there kind of getting the word out, once the movie's been filmed at least?
Yeah, well, what happens is that since we started the first one hour fantasy girl, what happens is once I've helped out with the editing and all that, then I dive into writing the next one. Okay. So that's where I'm into is trying to get the next script ready for production, and that doesn't leave me much time. And also John is very good at talking with people and very open and so forth, and I'm more like, into my scripts and that kind of thing. So I spend the time after the film preparing the script for the next one.
Now, as a writer, Edgar, how do you approach screenwriting? I mean, do you follow kind of like the story beats kind of thing? Are you more of a free form writer? Do you follow the Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 type of situation? I mean, as you're rolling out things like 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, Mother's Red Dress, and whatever the next one you're working on is, how do you get these from your brain onto quote unquote paper?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I recommend everybody to read Story by Robert McKee. That's the number one thing. And how I work is I freeform, but not just completely loose. What I do is I begin to write 60 cards of scenes that I would like to see, and it just comes out of me. Whatever scene I want, whatever's interesting, and then later I begin to organize them in order. Mm-hmm. And then I then look at the order of everything and go, okay, what is the story I'm trying to tell? What is the point that everyone can relate to? And when I say, okay, now I have a story, when I really know the story can work is when I go, okay, if I change the culture, like for example, the Godfather story can be in Africa. The Godfather story can be in the medieval ages, but it's the same story, father, son, enemies, so forth, the same archetype about how hard the world can be and how you have to defend yourself and sometimes become a cold bastard. It's an archetype that fits throughout different cultures and different things. So when I finish putting all my scenes together, I go, okay, what is a story that has that kind of element, at least close to it? And then when I do that, I go, okay, well, this, I can understand, like this could, be transposed to different things. And then I begin to do an outline, a more detailed outline. And then at the very end, I do, the dialogue, the description of the action in the dialogue.
Now, do you prefer to write? Do you prefer to shoot and make your own movies, or do you ever hope to be in the position to be able to take some of these scripts that you're writing and sell them to a studio, or do you want to continue making the movies you want to write? Do you want to have a mixture of that kind of career, like a Soderbergh, where he'll go make a couple studio films and then he'll go make a couple films on his own? Or I mean, what's your kind of your end goal or aspiration for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, what I like is what Soderbergh is doing. I mean, it's incredible. He's able to do very daring work, and then he does things that are still really daring also, but more commercial. And that's kind of like what John and I are doing. We have a 2-track thing. We have scripts that are more commercial. They still have meaning, but they're more a wider range. And so our goal is to do a body of work like, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 of these independent films, and hope as we continue to show our craft and everything, that we will be able to get funding for the bigger films. And the same thing will happen though with the bigger films. It'll be something we really love, and if we're able to make enough money, then we can also do even more daring and more edgy kind of indies that are not low budget enough that they can make their money back.
Okay, and I do have another question for John, and I think this one will be right up his alley and something that I know you guys definitely want to talk about. What's up, and tell us a little bit about the Kickstarter campaign you guys are currently running for Mother's Red Dress, and what your goal is with that, and also obviously maybe what's in it for some of the people who are donating to Mother's Red Dress.
Okay. Well, yeah, we've been live on Kickstarter for just a little over a week. Had a great response already. I think there's like 42 backers, raised about $2,200. One of the things that we're doing with this Kickstarter campaign is this is for a film in post. So we already have a cut of the movie, and we're looking to raise the money, which is approximately 20 grand, to finish the sound mix, the composition for the score, the color correction and visual effects. And for what we're doing, there's two parts of charity to it. One is the tracks that we license from Moby's Music through Moby Gratis. He's donating all the money that he receives from the licensing of those tracks to the Humane Society. That's on his part. On our part, what we're doing is if we reach our goal at $20,000, we're going to take 10%, which is $2 grand. And we're going to donate that to an organization that helps at-risk youth combat the effects of domestic violence and childhood abuse. For our fans and for all the people that contribute, we made it pretty easy this time. I mean, I looked at a lot of different Kickstarter campaigns, film and non-film, and what I realized is what gets you the, I guess, not the fastest to fund, but has the appeal is when you give something to everybody who pledges. So if you donate $3 or more, you'll receive the entire film in HD, downloadable onto your PC or your Mac or your iPad or your iTunes, your iPhone, or another portable device that plays QuickTime movies. And then, of course, we have perks going on up there, DVDs, signed, posters, all that kind of stuff, and different perks. What's really interesting, though, is at least in this first week, is I've seen certain people that I know, and then there's a number of people that I've never even met or never had any connection to who helped get the word out, and their friends. One guy from North Dakota kicked in $500, and he sent us a message after we thanked him saying, "Give me plenty of lead time so that I can come down and see the premiere in LA." So that was really, it's a very inspiring thing to see people's generosity, not just in their money, because that's not really what, you could ask somebody for your money, but it's really the thought behind it in terms of there must be something there personally for that individual who's never known our work before to have a message of a movie connect so deeply that they open their wallet and give $500. That's really amazing. And at the same time, too, there's people that have given what they can. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is their time. Not just their donations or their pledges, but really tweeting it out on Twitter every day or on Facebook, seeing 300 or 400 shares of your link all over Facebook is pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I want to remind everyone out there watching that with Kickstarter, it's an all or nothing campaign. So we want to make sure that they don't just raise $2,000, because just raising $2,000 is the same as raising zero. So in this particular case, so you want to make sure that if you can give money or time to get them to their goal, to $20,000, we want to see them succeed. They've got 43 backers right now, and they got 50 days to go. So they're at $2,263 as of right this second. As I'm speaking, that may change by the time you guys see this. But they're also they're looking for $20,000, and you know what? I've seen other people ask for more and make it, and I know that these guys have a worthy film that is definitely it's definitely worth your money, worth your time as well. And time is just as valuable. If you can, go out there, tweet it, Facebook it, share it with your friends, family. I think the Mother's Red Dress deals with issues that a lot of families can relate to, and pretty much anyone from any type of broken home to a point can probably even, relate to a lot of the subject matter in the movie. It's exactly what it is in the description. Mother's Red Dress, a social issue feature film, and I'm really excited to have both John and Edgar here talking about this tonight. I want to also put a shout out there for 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, the film that they had completed before this. It's where is it available now, John? Where can people buy that movie?
I think a lot of people, actually, what I'm seeing is on Amazon, the Amazon Instant for $2.99 has been a bestseller for the last year and a half, and the sales have gone up significantly in the last couple of months since we've been promoting Mother's Red Dress. You can also get it on iTunes.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's available in several countries on iTunes, so both streaming and download.
Actually,
and the two primary sources.
Now, what if I'm a collector and I want to have a copy of 1 Hour Fantasy Girl or Mother's Red Dress of my own? Is there a place that I can, if I go donate to Kickstarter, can I get a copy of Mother's Red Dress when it finally comes out?
That's correct. At $25, we'll give you a full DVD with all the bonus features, the interviews, the original cast auditions, which I think is something very neat that a lot of people would like. And Edgar and I will sign the DVD. That's optional. I think there's a couple other perks. There's a free download of the song Honeybee that's become very famous from the teaser trailer. And if you go up to $50, I think we kick in the film soundtrack and a couple other perks there too.
Let's see, $50, pledge $50 or more, receive all the above, which is the digital download of the entire film, or DVD with bonus features, original cast audition, all the things that you mentioned. Also, CD or digital download of the film soundtrack, your name in the special thanks and title credits of the film and on IMDb. So, come on, $50, you get yourself an IMDb credit. You can't go wrong with that. That'll start off your little page there. I would like to see a Nic Baisley IMDb page. Lord knows there should be a Film Snobbery one.
I would like to see a Nic Baisley IMDb credit under Mother's Red Dress too.
Well, then maybe I'm going to have to fish around for $50. Already we're looking at a fantastic soundtrack. You've already got, sounds. You already have music on here by Moby. I'm sure, even just having that name attached to what you're doing will attract other great bands to contribute to this movie, to the soundtrack of this movie. And how about 1 Hour Fantasy Girl? If I want a copy of 1 Hour Fantasy Girl, and I'm not a streaming person. I like to hold my collectibles, because I know that if I have something by Edgar Michael Bravo, it's one day going to be a collectible. We're talking Criterion level collectible here. So how can I get my hands on a copy of 1 Hour Fantasy Girl?
Yeah, if you the best way is to go to Amazon.com and just look it up. It'll probably be the top search. It's for $11.99. It's a Glassmaster DVD. It was made off of Glassmaster, and it's fully professional DVD quality.
$11.99. How can they keep it so cheap and still stay in business? I don't understand. No, all right. Well, I as much as I love to be a pitchman for you guys, I've always loved what you guys have done. John has been a big supporter of Film Snobbery for the past 3 years. 1 Hour Fantasy Girl was actually the third movie I've ever reviewed. I immediately, right before I released the review, I actually went ahead, I called John up, we talked a little bit about the movie. As a filmmaker, as a film reviewer, I really appreciate speaking to people like John and Edgar about what they do, because it helps me do my job better. If I need to understand why they cut a scene a certain way, or why something is lit a certain way, or whatever it might be, that helps me do my job better, and it also helps me understand what they're going through. Okay, this cut was made for a budget reason, or this cut was this, that, or the other. And that helps out a lot. And John, just over the past few years, has been a very vocal supporter of us, and also, has always been there when I've needed to It's always been there when, with a phone call, right when I needed him, So I want to thank John for continuing his support. I want to thank Edgar for taking the time out to finally come on and prove that you do exist to the general public.
Exactly.
Because we all doubted it. I still think that there's a ventriloquist type of thing going on there, but I'll let it slide for tonight. But Edgar, I admire the work that you do with one, and I want to continue seeing what you're doing, and I want to say good luck on your Kickstarter campaign for Mother's Red Dress. If you go to Kickstarter.com, people, and you just look up Mother's Red Dress, it'll bring it right up. The URL, I would give you the full URL, but it's a little long, so your best bet is to just do a search for it, and chances are, I mean, with a project like this, chances are you'll see it on the front page on Kickstarter in the near future anyway. So keep an eye out for that. And of course, you can follow No Restrictions Entertainment and John Paul Rice there for they're on Twitter at No Restrictions, so twitter.com/No Restrictions. You can always head on over to, what's the website for Mother's Red Dress? You have one, I think, right?
mothersreddress.com, and for right now, it'll forward them to the Facebook page.
Excellent.
So you can become a fan and check it out.
And you guys should become a fan. You guys actually, you guys are still one of the big successes of MySpace with One Hour Fantasy Girl. People liking that page or whatever the hell, however MySpace did it.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys again for coming on the show and being patient with us while we worked out our technical issues. For those of you out there who don't know, we've had some issues. But I want to thank you guys again, and good luck with Mother's Red Dress. Good luck with your Kickstarter campaign, and if there's anything that myself or FilmSnobbery can ever do to help you guys out, we're always happy to.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, folks, so that was a director, Edgar Michael Bravo, producer, John Paul Rice from No Restrictions Entertainment. Check out Mother's Red Dress, but we want to cut away for a moment. We're going to actually show you a little ad for one of our newest partners, and it's something I'm very passionate about. We're talking independent film here all the time. We were just talking about, where can I see these movies? Where are they? Well, one of the places you can see these movies is IndiePixUnlimited.com, and we're going to show you a quick little plug for them right now. When we come back, we're going to talk about our Indiegogo project of the week called Peekaboo. So when we come back, we're going to talk about it. See you then. Welcome back, everyone, and here with another kind of discussion, our co-host, Mr. Jerry Cavallaro, director of Stuck Like Chuck. He's been at the Tribeca Film Festival most of this week, and he had some stuff he definitely wanted to talk about, kind of also get off his chest. So we're going to chat with him and let him talk a little bit about his experiences at Tribeca this year and get some more of his impressions of what's going on. So, Jerry, how was? What day were you on? Are you on here on Thursday? Are you? You've been there most of the week now, and so you're most of the way through. It ends on Sunday?
It ends Sunday, but it ends pretty much tomorrow for me. Because tomorrow's the end of the press screenings, and then Saturday is just public screenings and stuff. Although, if you have a higher press level pass than I do, you can go to the screenings up until a certain time. And then Sunday, I don't know if I think it's the same deal. So there's no more actual just press screenings. Okay. So I'm done tomorrow. But yeah, it continues on until Sunday, and then there's also the online festival.
Right. Now, right before the show, you were, I said, hey, we've got a little bit of time for discussion towards the end of the show. I want to talk. You said, oh, great, I got this thing I definitely want to bitch about with you. And so, what was on your mind, Mr. Cavallaro?
Yeah, this is right up our alley, since we like to rail on certain people and certain aspects of indie filmmaking that's not so indie.
Yes, sir.
And I was kind of surprised by something at the festival that yesterday there was a panel, Tribeca Talks industry panel, the business of entertainment.
Okay. And
basically the panel promised to be, let me see if I have the exact phrasing. Well, I thought I did, but whatever. It promised to be about financing for the 21st century.
Okay.
Or film financing for the 21st century, something like that. So I was like, okay, great. This is going to be a panel on crowdfunding and about how us indie filmmakers can raise money. And, because it's the Tribeca Film Festival, the audience is probably going to be a lot of filmmakers or, probably indie filmmakers at my level or a lot of students and stuff. And looking around in the audience, it seemed like I was kind of right. There were a lot of people my age. It didn't look like there was a lot of filmmakers from the festival, although I could be mistaken. So I kind of thought it was going to be geared more towards the indie filmmaking crowd.
And what was it?
And well, it was Charlie Rose was speaking with two different people. First, he talked with Jeffrey Boots, or I don't know how to say his name, but he's the CEO of Time Warner. And then he talked with Joe Roth, who he's a film producer. He just produced Alice in Wonderland.
Okay.
Which, was made for like $200 million. And he has like these movies, these upcoming movies and other $100 million films. And he's also done a lot of other stuff. He created Revolution Studios, I think. And so he's been involved with a lot of major films.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, well, that's cool. We got some really respected people. They're going to gear their conversation towards indie filmmakers or whatever. Time Warner, they mostly talked about video on demand and their competition with Netflix, and that I kind of was like, that's not really film financing, but okay, that's cool. We're talking about video on demand and Netflix, but geared more towards us and stuff. But it was kind of like we don't view, because he also HBO, so he kept comparing Netflix to HBO and how it's competition for HBO, because HBO was the original video on demand because they brought Hollywood movies to your homes, and now Netflix brings you. But Netflix, you can actually choose what movies you want to see. So
right.
It's kind of different, but the way he described it kind of works.
I can see the comparison because 20 years ago HBO
definitely it was like HBO was the equivalent of Netflix 20 years ago.
Right.
And then now HBO, they have the certain video on demand where you can choose movies that are playing on HBO to watch anytime.
Right.
So that's how they're combating Netflix. But it was kind of like that's what the majority of their talk was. So I was like, okay, that's not really film financing, but that's still it's related to the business of entertainment. It's just not exactly what I thought we were going to talk about. But I was like, it's okay. I just kind of expected something else. Then Joe Roth comes out, and he's talking about film financing, and I'm like, okay, great. And he talks again about video on demand and the digital revolution. And Charlie Rose was asking the questions, and he brought it up, and he was in for the first part, so he was talking about Netflix a little bit too and stuff. And he comes out and says something that completely blew my mind.
Which was?
Now with the digital revolution, I'm just paraphrasing. This is not exactly how he said it, even though I kind of went to another voice. This is exactly what he said. But with the digital revolution, and like films have a much better chance of getting out there. The distribution channels for films have opened up because of the digital revolution and the video on demand and everything. Because it's so easy to make money back on films through all this new areas of distribution, it is so much easier to raise money when funding a film. Now it's so, like you were saying, like Silicon Valley, it was always so hard to get these people to open up their wallets to fund films. Now they're looking for movies because filmmaking is such like a great business venture now, because you're making so much money from film. So because of all these new revenue streams, funding for film is so simple. And I'm like, no, it isn't. Not for anyone at my level. And he kept going on about how the digital revolution has made filmmaking, raising funding so simple that it's no longer like a worry for filmmakers or producers. And I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Now,
like, he's not talking about anyone at our level.
Did you just raise your hand and just stand up and just be like, what's a Nubian?
The questions, I should have, but I don't think anyone there would have got it.
Right.
Wrong audience for that. So, but I'm looking around, and a lot of the filmmakers are like stunned. They're sitting there like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And like, I actually overheard people saying, like, "Seriously?" Like, like no one could believe he was saying that. So then he's talking about, and then at one point he mentions that he gets 300 scripts that he reads a year. That like land on his desk that he actually reads, and many more that don't make it to him but make it to his assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So then someone got up and said, "How do I get a film to you?" And then he kind of avoided the question and said, "Well, I read 300 scripts a year. It goes to my assistant. My assistant gets about 25 a week." And they were like, "Well, how does it get to your assistant?" And he said, "People send it to him." Like, he wasn't giving a straightforward answer. This person obviously just wanted to be like, "I have a script. Will you read it?" But he kept like kind of backing away from that. And like I was just kind of surprised, and I wanted to get up and ask one of the questions, but then like a line started to form, and then and then like they ended up having to wrap it up, and they wrapped it up because they're like, we want to be fair for the people that were planning to leave here on time, so we're not going to go over. And I'm like, well, those people could get up and leave, and we could stay. Like, I thought that was kind of an interesting way to say we're going to end it because it won't be fair for the few that wanted to leave and don't want us to go over. Well, that's weird, but okay, whatever. But I was just really kind of surprised. Like, I was like, that's not true at all. Like, it is impossible now for filmmakers to raise funding because of the digital revolution. So many more people are trying to make movies that it's becoming harder because it's getting so diluted. And he's just going a completely different direction because I guess in Hollywood it's a different way. But like he's talking about how he's funding like this $200 million movie here and this huge movie here. And I was just I was really surprised by that. And a lot of people I talked to afterwards were saying the same thing. And then I ended up speaking with Alan J. Lefave. I keep screwing up his name. But I gotta talk to him. He's the Hell's Half Mile Film and Music Festival festival director. Mm-hmm. And he was saying he heard the same thing from a lot of people, that they were complaining about that. And he was just but the funny thing is, every panel that I've been to so far, everyone's been asking about crowdfunding, and they've been talking about crowdfunding. And the one panel that was on financing and film funding, they didn't talk about crowdfunding.
And see, that's the issue I have with most panels in general, my own included. I mean, when I did Your Baby Is Ugly at South by Southwest, I had a vague structure that I wanted to go on. I'm not one of those people that likes to over-prepare for a presentation because it always feels wooden and very, kind of ABC. And so I opened...
interviews.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You have a few questions, but you want to be loose and conversational. You don't want to be like, and my next question is...
Right, and I've done both, and quite frankly, I like the I don't know what I'm going to say next kind of thing, because then whatever comes out of my mouth is more true.
It keeps you on your toes, and it's more conversational. And I think whoever you're interviewing likes that too.
Yeah. Now, I mean, when it comes to like I said, I was doing Your Baby Is Ugly. I opened up while I was doing the seminar. I didn't want to call it a panel because I was the only person on it. It was kind of a solo deal. But
I could make a fat joke, but I won't.
Right. Now, and I can end this conversation, but I won't. But so what I did was I told everyone, I said, look, I've got a bunch of stuff I want to cover, but at any time you want to talk about something else that's on your mind, or you want to you would like me to elaborate on something I am talking about, just raise your hand and we'll have a conversation about it. And so I'm guilty of also varying completely off the quote unquote description of what my panel was about, but that's also one of the fundamental things even I don't like myself about going to festivals and stuff like that and sitting through panels, because I've been on other panels myself where like the panel topic was supposed to be a certain thing, and the moderator would start it that way, but it would never end up on topic. And that's also why I don't really think that a lot of people learn enough, because there's always just so much time, and there's usually, especially if there's a moderator who's asking the questions versus the audience, you're not asking the questions that the audience wants to know. You're basically just regurgitating information that the moderator might know you're an expert on. And so, you know, I don't know. I've never really gotten a question at a panel that I was like stumped. Even like the stuff that was like right on, like we were in when we were in Orlando, and they were like, oh, hey, you want to just be on this panel because we need a replacement. I was like, all right, and I didn't know what to expect, and on anything that was going to be asked on that panel, and I think that the answers that we got that went out there were really good, and I thought we handled it really good, but I don't know.
They're very good at bullshitting, so.
That is true. I mean, I can't help it. I have that gift of just like whatever. I mean, it's just what I guess I'm okay at. But no, I mean, I could see the frustration of a filmmaker who like, I'm really hurting to know about what's going on with film finance and not being able to get that information. And especially when you have people who are making big budget projects and not having access to the information of how they got to where they are and how they're getting the money to do these projects. I highly recommend that everyone out there go up and pick up a copy. I just lent my copy to someone, actually, very recently, and I think everyone should get their copy of The Hollywood Economist to see exactly how they do it. And I think that some of the lessons can be applied on a much smaller scale. You just have to find the right avenues to apply it to. There are a lot of things on there that even I would like to try to do for FilmSnobbery, so I can kind of test it in a different business model to see if it's applicable to us as well. We'll see how that works. But no, I could see how like the audience on that would be frustrated. It really does piss me off when you have these people who've been in the industry and they know so much and they're just not forthcoming with how it works. They're more interested in either promoting what they have, talking about things that are above the pay grade of what most people, in the audience are able to do. And I don't know, I think it's just very frustrating in general. And I see it from a completely different angle than you guys do, but at the same time, it's, I can see how you guys just go like, I can see why people don't like to go to panels. I think, I don't know.
Well, I love attending panels. I just don't like when they don't turn out to be what I thought they would be. But like, I really wish, I heard some really good things about the social media panel, which Ryder Strong was on. I got to talk to him a little bit about the panel, and he was telling me how it was going, and he was saying like, it was really good, and the panel was great, but it was a little bit too long because it got to a point where people started asking, like, okay, what's going to be next for social media? And he's like, and honestly, none of us know. If we knew, and this is exactly what he said, if we knew what was going to be next for social media, we'd be making millions of dollars creating the next Facebook. We wouldn't be on a panel here talking about social media.
Now
that's a good answer.
Now that being said, Jerry, you did get to interview Ryder Strong and Shiloh Strong as well, right?
Yeah, I got to interview them. They're really cool guys. They're short, The Dungeon Master.
Okay. Which,
if it's still available for screening online, I highly recommend you check it out at the Tribeca Film Festival online website.
And when do you think your interview with them will be available over on We Are Movie Geeks? Because for those of you who don't know, Jerry's actually covering this for another site, not FilmSnobbery, the bastard. But
well, I'm covering it for you guys technically in a way. I'm covering it for us.
In a little bit. I mean, you're discussing it, which is good, but all the other kind of content
actual articles will be on another site. Although I might write up an article or something just about like as a filmmaker's perspective on the festival, because We Are Movie Geeks is really geared more towards film fans. Maybe I might put something together about filmmakers for the festival. There's definitely a lot of stuff I want to say that I'm not going to say on We Are Movie Geeks, just because I don't want to bore people by pitching. but that's not really what they want to hear.
Right.
But no, us filmmakers, we love to hear the dirt. But that's the interview's probably going to be up early next week. I don't know. My internet connection has been pretty horrible.
Okay.
And, I have to upload another interview first. The Abigail Breslin and Alessandro Nivola interview for their film J.D. Jones.
Okay.
So since that came first, I'm going to upload that one first, and then I'll upload the Dungeon Master interview. But they're both great interviews, and I was really lucky to talk with them. I enjoyed talking with with everyone that I got to talk with at the festival. And a lot of the stuff that I got to talk to people, like, it was not on camera, which kind of sucks. But like a lot of it was like just in between stuff, like bumping into people, and I didn't like there was no set time to do an interview. So that's the kind of stuff that I write about in the daily updates on the every weeks.
Okay. Well, on that note, I think we're kind of running out of time here on the show. Let's go get to the wrap up on this, and we'll see you guys. We'll see Mr. Jerry and talk a little bit more about the end of the Tribeca Film Festival next Thursday. And until then, we'll be right back. We have another little thing we want to show you guys, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the show and get the hell on out of here. So stick around. We'll be right back. That's right. Check out IndiePixUnlimited.com, streaming independent films. They're like the Netflix of streaming independent films. How can you not check them out? And better than Netflix, because Netflix doesn't even have a lot of indie. So we want to talk next about our Indiegogo project of the week. You can see it over to my left, I think, called Peekaboo. It's British, which is like half the reason why I picked it, because I like pretty much everything British. I like it so much I got the teeth. What can I say? So I want to talk to you about Peekaboo, and another reason why I want to talk to you about it is because they've got kind of a very short goal, very easily meetable. I bet you we could even do it during like this show. All right, maybe not this show, but maybe like this show and next week. They're only trying to raise $1,000. And the good news is, much like Mother's Red Dress, they've already finished the film. They're really just looking for some finishing funds and some festival submission funds. So it's basically post-production type of stuff. They've got 45 days left to raise $1,000. They've already raised $70. Not a bad start. They probably just started a couple days ago. They've actually got some decent perks as well. Starting all the way from the Peekaboo sponsor all the way to the executive producer credit. The executive producer at $1,000. If you donate basically the whole shebang-a-bang, you get an executive producer credit on the film, an invite to your nearest screening with up to 5 guests, a tin of specially made Peekaboo baby milk, and a copy of completed DVD posted out to your address. Benjamin, baby stuff, baby food. Come on, you got some good stuff there. All right, you want to drop a $1,000? All right, well, if you guys out there can't drop $1,000 either, you could drop $20. $20 gets you a thank you credit on the film and an invite to your nearest screening. That's not bad now, considering it's British. It might be waiting a while for the nearest screening thing, unless you came to a special screening at something like, I don't know, a FilmSnobbery Live Presents screening, over at, our new venue over at the Elm Street Draft House in Millbury, Massachusetts. That could happen. Those things could happen. Weirder things have happened. But it's actually a really good story. I was kind of checking it out, and actually I want to share with you guys the pitch video for the Peekaboo. Right now, when we come back, we're basically going to wrap up, and we're going to talk about a little bit about what's going on next week. So let's cut on over to our good video that we have over, the little pitch video for Peekaboo, and we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Debbie Howard from Big Buddha Films in the UK. I'm here to tell you about my new film, Peekaboo. Peekaboo is a short film looking at stillbirth and the trauma and grief it causes to families. It's a taboo subject matter which desperately needs to be looked at. As well as bereavement and loss, Peekaboo also looks at mental health and breakdown, specifically delusional disorder. Emily, the mum in the film, suffers from a temporary breakdown due to the grief she's suffering, and Andy has to try and gently help bring her out of this. The film looks closely at the effects that loss like this has on a relationship as people find their own ways of coping. We shot Peekaboo a few weeks ago and the footage is looking fantastic. We had 2 of Britain's finest actors in our lead roles, with Leslie Sharp playing Emily and Sean Dooley taking the role of Andy. We raised over £8,500 from generous sponsors to get us through production, as well as an enormous amount of in-kind funding. Working with our fantastic DP Phil Wood and our art director Helen Watson, we created stunning shots and a great look for our film, which we shot on a red cam. The colour palette was reflective of the babies in the film, and we used a lot of soft pastel colours and neutral tones. Lighting was very important as we were using 2 main different lighting setups to represent the 2 different states of mind of the lead characters. For Emily, we wanted to show a world full of love, sunshine and happiness when she finds her babies have returned to her. For Andy, it was more naturalistic, as he sees things the way they really are. We're planning to premiere Peekaboo at one of the most prestigious film festivals such as Edinburgh or London. We'll then screen our film at many of the top film festivals internationally. We're looking for sponsorship to help us get through post-production. We're trying to raise money for the initial stages at this point. This will include editing, post-sound, original score and a colour grade. Our team have worked really hard to get this far and we're incredibly proud of what we've managed to achieve without any funding. Please help us get through this next phase of post-production. There are some great perks available to all those that contribute. Please take a look at what's on offer. This is a really important film that helps to challenge attitudes towards baby loss and mental health. Please help by making a donation today.
All right, we are now back. Yeah, I mean, they're from Sheffield in the UK, and actually this is an interesting story about Peekaboo, is that this is actually their second go-around of crowdfunding. They've actually were able to raise about $15,000 American. I think that they said it's about 8,500 pounds, quid. Whatever they want to call it there, so they've already proven success in being able to do this once. I think they deserve a second go around to get their get everything else kind of created and done. I want to, before we jet out for the night, I want to make sure that I talk to all of you about obviously what we've got going on. May 23rd, I think it's the fourth Monday. I believe it's the fourth Monday of the month of May. We will be kicking up our live screening series once again at our new venue, the Elm Street Draft House in Millbury, Massachusetts. We're very much looking forward there. Our feature film we have already selected. Our feature film is going to be Heart of Now by Zach Forsman. I'm very excited. Zach may attend. I'm very excited to meet him in person. He's another longtime supporter of FilmSnobbery. I really enjoy his previous work with Sabi Pictures, I Fucking Hate You, and some of the other work that he's done. That's the name of a movie. I wasn't just trying to slip that one past the audience. So yeah, so I'm just really excited to kind of see what's what and meet him in person and kind of thank him for all the support. I want to thank you guys out there for all your support. If you want to continue to support us, you can go on over to FilmSnobbery.com, of course, read our latest and greatest reviews, news, .com. Because you're probably here already. And you can also check us out on Twitter and Facebook, twitter.com/FilmSnobbery and facebook.com/FilmSnobbery. Once again, I'm your host, Nic Baisley, the Film Snob, and I think we're good for this week. So you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next week with our with another guest and another interview and more fun. Good night.